to our Love Talk viewers. We are right now on our way to Los Angeles, Birmingham. Actually an hour from Birmingham to interview this amazing couple whose story will blow your minds. Very powerful story, very powerful testimony. And we should be getting there soon, okay? So stay with us. I believe you're going to enjoy the program today, okay? See you there.
You, Abraham, you're all the way in Ghana.
Yes.
Because you're from Ghana originally, right? And you based in Birmingham.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So how did the communication begin then? Because he was abroad, you were here.
This is the first time we were seeing each other. And I remember I'd sent a picture of myself and I'd lost so much weight, so I looked totally different. And I remember he was very quiet and I kept saying to him, is something wrong? And he was like, no, no, no. And I said, but you're very quiet for somebody who, you know, we're planning on getting married. You don't seem very welcoming and very warm. And then he said, yes, you don't look like you did in your picture.
How was it then after you legalized your relationship on the altar?
I think when Abraham came over, I think he was expecting to find a job straight away. And I wanted him to spend time with me because obviously we were married. When we got married, I was only married for 9 days before I left Ghana and I came back to England. And then a couple of months later, he followed. So we didn't really know each other. So I wanted him to stay at home and then we get to know each other and eventually he can find work. But I think being a man, he was like, no, I need to find a job and I need to start supporting my wife. So he started working. And then when he started working, he was doing about 3 or 4 jobs at the same time. So we weren't spending any time together.
When I came home from work, I could put my shoes here. But she was like, no, this is the place where we put shoes. This is the place where we put socks. Don't leave this here. When you, excuse me, if you go to the toilet, you have to close the seat. Don't leave it open. And I was like, oh, where
That's
am I?
marriage. I'm a woman.
You know?
I'm a woman. No, that's
And I was like, where am I? I can't
But let me
even
break
do
the
anything.
news to you. Most men do that. It's not only you leave things out of place, they don't put the seat down, the toilet seat down.
So at a point I felt like, oh, I'm in a tight corner. I can't do anything.
After a year and a half, I just finally said, enough's enough. You know, I know I'm not for divorce, but if you want to go ahead and you want to divorce, then do so because time is getting on and we're becoming so far away from each other and we're just getting more and more distant. And so finally he agreed and he said yes, he would.
And that's when you
Do the divorce.
decided to divorce. Hello everyone and welcome to the Love Talk. We are back in Birmingham to continue our interview with Abraham and Joyce, who in the previous program shared a little bit of their story with us up to the moment Abraham filed for divorce. I have married the wrong person. That was what Abraham had in mind. He came to a point in which he thought that he had married the wrong person, which happens to many people when they start struggling within the relationship.
I think after trying so many things for so long, the only conclusion some people come to is, you know, it's the only thing that makes sense. You know, I have married the wrong person. I need to get rid of this one so I can find the right person.
Yeah. We saw Abraham leaving his home country, coming all the way to the UK, you know, to live with Joyce, to marry her, and you know, build a family together. However, it turned very sour.
Very quickly.
Very quickly, yes, because there was no communication. As we saw, he was very quiet, she was very bubbly, very talkative, and whenever having any sort of clashes, he would withdraw even more and should become even more, pushy to the point where she was literally bossing him around, as we saw in the previous program. By the way, if you missed last week's program, you can go to our website, lovetalkshow.tv, and there you find the link to our YouTube channel, right?
Yes. Before we get into the story, let's go for Dear Love Talk.
And this is Dear Love Talk time, in which you send our questions to
questions@lovetalkshow.tv.
That's right.
Maybe you don't have a question that pops into your mind, but you're going through a situation right now in your relationship and you don't know what to do. You have asked for help, advice, and you don't seem to find a solution to that. If you want to write to us, that's the address.
Because honestly speaking, this is more than just questions. These are people seeking advice. So we are here ready to help in whatever you may need, okay? So let's go into the first question then. My husband is very quiet and I would like to understand why he behaves that way. Please advise. Well, men have the tendency to be quiet, not to talk much. Well, they talk a lot when they're among their peers, their pals. But, we know that women like to talk a bit more and at length. Whereas men, they don't talk that much. So this is what you have to understand. You're asking here, I would like to understand why he behaves that way, because he's a man. That's how he behaves. He needs his quiet times, those quiet moments. You may talk to him, you may use 30 words and he's going to use only 5. Because that's how men are. Obviously, he shouldn't be withdrawn, not talking. That's another issue. If that's another issue, if he's just quiet, he doesn't talk much, that's who he is.
And also, sometimes it happens, look, that the guy doesn't talk because he doesn't see a need to. The woman is always talking. So even if he wants to, it's like, why am I going to talk?
Perhaps he's avoiding talking and giving any answers because he knows that the conversation will stretch.
Exactly. You see, I am a woman, so obviously I talk more than men usually, but I run away from people who feel that they always have to be talking. So imagine men. So maybe what's going on is that your man is not talking because you're always. So you should try talk less.
Diminish.
Yeah, and you'll see that he will talk more.
There are times in which you want to talk, and that day I don't want to talk that much. And my answers are very short, and then she gets it. Obviously, we've been together for many, many years, so she gets the drift. So you're saying here, help me understand why he behaves that way. No, you have to understand that that's how we behave. Please, I'm not saying he shouldn't talk at all. No, of course not. But that you should perhaps give him time to breathe, because, perhaps he needs his quiet moments and he doesn't want to talk much, right?
Yes, that's right.
Second question. He physically abuses me. Should I end this relationship? Well, we don't know if it's a boyfriend or a husband. Regardless, there's no place for abuse in a relationship. I don't know how often this has been happening, this has been going on, but whether you're going to end the relationship or not, it's not up to us to decide that. However, you have to put your foot down. You can't accept that, because there's no place for physical abuse or any kind of abuse in a relationship. You have to love yourself. Sometimes women are afraid of ending a relationship or taking some time off because they say, we have children, where am I going to go to, who's going to pay my bills, and etc. You can't think like that. You have to put yourself first. You have to love yourself. You have to appreciate yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, how can you love somebody else? How can you love him if you don't love yourself? So you shouldn't take that at all. Put your foot down, talk to him, say, listen, if it doesn't end right now, if it doesn't stop right now, I'm out. Take some time, work on yourself, fix yourself, seek help, and then we'll see where we take, where this relationship goes to.
Because the way it usually goes is like that. He hits her, and he repents, apologizes, and and she says, "Okay, I forgive you." What that the message that she sends, that it's okay for you to hit me, he will probably do it again.
Yeah.
So if a guy hits a girl, he has a problem. He needs to seek help for that problem, and he won't until you put your foot down and show him this is not okay. It's never gonna happen. But
either changes or it's over.
you can't stay
Obviously,
there.
we don't, as I said here before, we don't support the idea of divorce, but there are cases and cases, and in this case, even yourself perhaps have to seek help from the authorities if it's getting out of hand. Okay, so this is it, guys. Keep your questions or the topics or any subject you like to us to cover, to send to questions@lovetalkshow.tv.
Hello YouTube, I am Rafa and this is Luke, and we are the presenters of the Love Talk Show.
And you can subscribe to this channel, like, share, and leave your comments below.
Many women nowadays, they find it very difficult to understand men, to know when they are interested, what to do to keep them interested. And there are lots of advice, there's videos out there on YouTube that teach you the things that you should say, that you should not say, what to do in any given situation. Although those advices sound very, very correct and they work, the problem with that is they are just quick fixes. If you just learn quick fixes, you can't really maintain a relationship. You need to follow a principle for you to make relationships work. So all the decisions that you will make, all the things that you will say and not say will be based on those principles. When you don't have that and you just have the quick fixes, you will know what to do and what to say in certain situations, but you can't keep that up. So the secret is for you to have your principles, your standards, and not give up on them because of a relationship. If your principles are right, then you shouldn't give them up to be with someone. So don't pay attention, don't look, don't seek quick fixes, because that's what they are. They will fix something quick, but not permanently. You need to learn how to be and what to do in a relationship so that relationship can be successful. And that can only happen if you follow principles, if you follow intelligent love. So don't go for these quick fixes because they won't give you the end result that you desire. So forget about them and follow the principle of intelligent love. If you want to know more about it, you can visit our website, which is lovetalkshow.tv, and you are sure to find the secret to have and keep a healthy and happy relationship. Until next time, in one more Just Between Us.
Hello and welcome to the Love Talk, and in today's program we are talking about those who think they've married the wrong person. I have married the wrong person, which is a continuation from last week's program. We have here with us Joyce and Abraham, have been sharing their story with us from West Birmingham. Am I right?
Yes.
West Birmingham. So, in case you missed last week's program, you can visit our website, lovetalkshow.tv. You have links to our YouTube channel and watch the previous program and any of the segments of today's program that you may have missed. Last week we stopped right where you filed for divorce. Abraham.
Yeah.
You did that.
Yeah, I
right?
did that.
Did it go through?
Yes, because the filing of...
You were determined then?
I was determined.
Enough, you had enough.
I've had enough.
You said that you thought you had married the wrong person.
I thought I'd married the wrong person, and the only way out was to give to file for divorce, and it would go through 3 stages, because one would be sent to her, she has to respond, and if I think what she's responded was wrong, I had to counter respond. So the first one was sent to her, and that was when she said, I want to meet you. And I asked her over what, and she said over the papers that the court had sent me. So when we met, we spoke over it, and I said, there's nothing I can do. This is what you've always been asking for, so I can't go back and withdraw it. And she said, no, we need to sit down and talk. I said, I don't have anything else to talk, because I think I've had enough of it.
What was going on? What was going on in your mind back then? So obviously, I believe you didn't want to divorce him.
Yes, I didn't think he would.
But you kept throwing him out.
I didn't think he would actually go through with it. I thought, oh, he's only bluffing. But when I saw the papers and the papers landed, the petition, I said, oh, he really is determined to go for it. I think also at the time as well, after Abraham had moved out, I began to see things about myself, because initially I was always trying to change him. I always wanted him to dress a certain way, to look a certain way, do things in a certain way. And after he had gone, I thought, oh my goodness, is this the kind of woman I'd become? So I started coming along to Love Talk, and I started coming to so many sessions. And every session I was going to, I was taking notes. And it got to the point, I started taking a notebook with me, and I was writing things down. And every time they spoke, I thought, oh, I've done this, I've done that. And then I began to laugh, because some of the things that I'd taken initially, and I thought, oh, that's a problem, that's a problem, I began to see they were really trivial. So and I began to see I was changing myself. So I kept going back to Abraham, and I kept saying, shall we get back together? Can we get back together? I've changed. And he was like, no, no, no. And he would black me out. And then I still said, no, I'm still going to go. I'm still going to go. I'm going to fight for this marriage, because whilst I was at work, there were so many people, so many friends were getting divorced. And I didn't want to become a divorce statistic, because I thought I'd prayed so much for this marriage. Why am I going to suddenly let go of it? If anybody has to fight for it, it has to be me. At times I was like, do you know what, no, let's forget it. Go with somebody new, because new face, fresh starts, you know.
Same joy.
No.
Same joy.
You know, maybe there's somebody else that's out there for me. But then I thought, no, if I go through with the divorce, the same problems are going to come back. So why not work on what I've got? Because initially I loved my husband, and there was still a part of me that still loved him. And I didn't want to go through with the divorce, and I could see I was changing. So I kept going back to him, and I kept going back to him, and I kept seeing I was changing, and he was like, no, he was determined he was going to go through with it. So I said, you know what, I'm really going to fight for this. It's my marriage, I'm going to fight for it. I didn't say anything to anybody. I had decided come March, it was going to be 6 years, and I really wanted us to be together for the 6-year anniversary, because we'd already spent 2 of it apart.
2 years apart?
It was coming up to nearly 2 years, yes. So I decided I've changed, I'm going to keep going, I'm going to keep going. I was still praying, I was still going to the sessions, I was learning so much, and I was changing. I was involving myself in a lot of different activities that were going on at the meetings I was attending. So I said, it's make or break. By then, the judge had already given a date when he was going to have the hearing, and then they were going to finalise the divorce. And I said, no, I'm still going to keep going, I'm still going to keep going. And
in the meantime, are you saying that you were working on yourself?
Yes, yes.
Because you said that you realized that as you were taking notes.
Yes, I saw
so many things about
lot
yourself
of flaws about myself. I could see I had pushed Abraham out. I wasn't giving him a chance to do anything. How useless he'd felt. And sometimes I'd look around and I'd see other couples, and I'd be like, how can they be so happy and I'm so miserable? And I'd be asking people, so, you know, how long have you been married? And they'd tell me, and I would be asking, so what is it that keeps you together and keeps you going? And they were saying, oh, you know, it's give and take, and you learn to, you know, each other's ways, and you learn to love each other, and you become my best friend. And I thought, well, my husband was never going to become my best friend. He was always my enemy, so how was that going to work out? But as I began to work on myself, I realized marriage is a process. you come from different backgrounds, but you have to work together. And it's a bit like a plane ride. When you take off, there's bumps along the way, but after the turbulence, everything smooths out. And I said, yes, you know, if I can get to that stage, everything will work out. I think there was a lot of interference because I'd asked so many people. Everybody was giving their own opinion, and I decided, no, I'm just going to shut the door.
Their opinions were before the decision of getting divorced, or when you were still together and having the confrontations?
I think it was before.
Before?
Yes, before.
What kind of advice were you receiving?
Oh, you're too good for him. You can find somebody else. Oh, you know, you can do better. Oh, maybe he only married you for stay. And, you know, and there were others that were like, you know, no, you need to fight. You need to fight for it. You need to work on it, you know. And I thought, well, okay, I've got to do this for myself. So I stopped saying anything to my family. At one point, I was telling them, oh, yeah, we're going through a divorce. But then I stopped saying anything. I didn't say anything. I just decided I was going to do this myself, and I was going to fight for my marriage. And so, as it was coming up to the 6-year anniversary of our marriage, I decided I'd give it one more go. Even though divorce was still going ahead, I said, if anybody can stop this, it has to be Abraham. He has to be sure in his heart this is what he wants. So I went back to him and I spoke to him. And when I went back to him and I was speaking to him, he was actually listening to what I was saying, because previously he was like, no, no, I've had enough, I want to go, I want to go. But he decided, okay, and I could see he's thinking, so he's really thinking.
Let me ask him then. So then, Abraham, what made you turn around?
Well, when he met me for the second time, because the first papers had been sent and she had received the second papers leading to the pronouncement of the final dissolving.
Final stage.
Yes. She came to me, and when she said it, I was sitting there, and something was speaking to me, forgiveness, you know. But I didn't say anything to her. So when I came home to where I was staying, and I tried to replay everything she had said, it was like God was speaking to me, you need to forgive. And I said, yes, God, I've forgiven. He said, have you forgiven 70 times 7? Because that's where the word says, you need to forgive 70 by 7. And I said, no.
Did you consider yourself a hard man?
No, because I'm the...
I mean, hard in terms of, you know,
no, when
you're African man, you're tough.
And look on the marriage, I said, no, I must go through it, and that's it. Because I was coming from a background where my dad and mom had separated when I was younger. So that was always at the back of my head, never to have divorce with the person I would marry, and to give them all my best. So when I came here and I had this treatment, I said, well, it's going to be a recycle, which I didn't want, you know. So when I went home and I was sitting down and I was going through it, I said, okay, God, I'll give her forgiveness. I'll forgive her. So when I came home, I called her and I said, okay, I'm going to call the court that I am withdrawing the case, because I was the one who started the process. So I went to the court the following day, and then they said, okay, if you want to withdraw it, we must get the consent of your wife. I would put it as of your wife in brackets, because at that time I didn't see her as my wife. So I came to her and I said, I've phoned the court, and they said the only way they can withdraw the case is if you agree as well to sign. So I brought it to her, she read it, and then she signed. And then she said, so when are they going to withdraw it? I said, you need to take time, because this is what the court has asked me. So I sent it back to the court, which was in Stoke-on-Trent. And then the court said, we have received your papers for us to withdraw. And then she got a letter from the court saying that your marriage with Abraham had been dissolved. And I said, no, what you got from the court, it was because the second letter I had sent withdrawing I didn't go to the judge at that time.
But they'd had the hearing.
Yeah, at the hearing, I didn't go to the judge. So what you've received is a wrong one. And she said, no. And I said, exercise patience. You are recurring back again. You know.
I thought he wanted the divorce and he was tricking me, and he,
Yeah.
you know, that's why I'd got the letter.
So I said, no, the court had told me they have withdrawn it. But what you got, somebody should have given the second letter to the judge, not to pass it, you know, so it was a mistake. So I called the court again and they said, oh, it was a mistake on their part, you know, and that they were going to send a letter which was stating that the divorce is no more going to be gone through by the court, and that it was a mistake. So she got a letter, I think a week or two, and I said, now you see, this is what the court meant. They made a mistake. So when we came back, I decided that, okay, I'm going to let go of some things that I normally like, being quiet. If you say something that wasn't pleasant to me, like a friend of mine once said, if your wife annoys you, just drink water, don't say anything, you know, because if there's water in your mouth, you can't say anything.
But you can't swallow too fast. You have to hold it for a while.
Yes, look, because if there's no water, you can say things, but if there's water, that would make you take time. So I said, okay, these are...
That's the, sorry to cut you, that's the part we're gonna get into after the break, because we want to reserve this next segment to what you had to do to adapt and change. Because now I believe divorce is canceled, you back together.
Yes.
But then you had to make adjustments. Otherwise, you could have problems in the future.
Yes.
Those problems would repeat themselves and the relationship would become unbearable again. Okay?
Yes.
So after the break, we're going to come back with Abraham and Joyce, which has been a lovely story.
Thank you.
Lovely because it has a
Happy ending.
a very happy ending. And we are going to conclude with that story. Okay? Stay with us. Hi YouTube. Did you know that we hold a seminar called the Love Talk Live every Thursday, 8 p.m.? That's right, at the address below that you can see, and it's completely free.
And there we talk about similar topics of the ones we talk about here on Love Talk Show. You can get in touch with us by emailing us questions@lovetalkshow.tv or through our Facebook page, Love Talk Show.
That's right.
We'll see you there.
Welcome back to the Love Talk. I have married the wrong person. Not me, actually. But that's
Hopefully.
No. But that's what Abraham and Joyce thought a few years back, right? Just before the break, you were telling us that divorce then was canceled. You decided not to go through the divorce, Abraham mostly, and you were back in the house, right, together. However, we know that we believe you had to make some few adjustments, some changes in order to make it work. Because it wasn't about just being together or getting back together, but also keeping that relationship then forever, till death do us part, as they say. Right?
Yes.
Then please tell us, what did you do individually to in order to, you know, salvage this marriage? Not ladies first now, men first.
I decided to be more spoken, to bring out issues to her that I didn't like if she did something, and not to say it in an annoyance way, but to say it in a much polite way. I tried to also let her know what my feelings were, you know, rather than previously just keeping it. So most times when she did something that I didn't like, instantly I didn't say it there and then. But then when I look at the atmosphere and it's much quieter, I say, Joyce, what you did I didn't like. If you had done it this way, that way, it would have been better for me, you know. And then she would say, oh, yeah,
We men tend to be more reserved,
yeah.
which doesn't help sometimes, right? Did you feel that he wasn't expressing a bit
Yes.
more of his emotions and
Sometimes he'd just give me the silent treatment.
silent treatment?
And it would go on for like days, and you'd ask
Really?
him, is there
Let's
something
see,
wrong?
Let's see if he beat me, because my silent
I don't
treatment.
know what's with that and men and silent treatments, I tell you.
Because my silent treatment to her lasted about 2 days.
He always
and a
says 2
half,
days, it's more than that.
2-3 days. How long did his
No,
last?
he beat you about a week.
Wow.
A week.
So it wasn't just about her being the way she was. You had to cooperate also by, you know, being more open and talking a bit more.
And be more involved with the housework, you know, trying to do things and get an opinion. You know, previously I would do things and without getting a consent, but now I felt I need to get a consent with things that I did.
Were you afraid of getting her consent back then? Because she was very bossy back then. So
She was. She was. And when I came back, we sat down and we spoke together that if this marriage is going to go on, then we must see each other as a team, you know, and teams work together. They don't work against each other.
that's a very good point. I would like to stress communication.
Yeah.
First thing you did was talking about on how will this marriage work.
Yes.
Right? As you mentioned, as a team, you're making adjustments, talking.
Yes.
That's perhaps something you didn't have before.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
One would withdraw, the other would get loud.
Yes.
That's not communication, right? That's a war, World War III, right? But this is something that you realize you had to reestablish communication,
Yes.
right?
And also, I think, conditions. Many people think that, oh, love is unconditional. Not marriage. Love, true love, intelligent love, is not unconditional. There are conditions. If this is going to work, then I have to do this, you have to do that. I expect this from you. And this is what couples usually don't do. They just expect that things will work out. They work out on themselves. And that's what you you did.
Yes.
But then
Yes.
when you sat down and said, look, we want to be together, but this is how it's going to go.
That's what people
Yes.
usually do in business, right? In order for this business to move forward, to move up, you do this, I do that. We respect people's boundaries, right? You have
Yes.
your department, I have my department. You need to do your part, I need to do my part. This is a business partnership. People tend not to do that when it comes to relationships. But you later on realize that that's what you needed to do, right?
Yes.
From your side, the adjustments you had to make.
I gave him his own space, and I said, you know, where...
Did you allow him to cut the grass?
Yes, yes.
Did you allow him to dress himself the way he
Yes,
wanted?
I didn't even say anything. I just said, give him the freedom because he's a man. He can do. He needs to feel happy, and he needs to feel welcome.
And he needs to feel that he's the lead,
Yes.
the head and the
Yes.
leader. Being the head
Yes.
doesn't mean being the tyrant or
Yes.
the ruler,
Yes.
but you know, after all, he left his country to be here
Yes.
with you, right?
Yes.
And let's be sincere, Joyce, how hard was that? I mean, you know, it seems like such a big thing, but how hard is it to say, okay, dress however you want, or, you know, I wouldn't cut the grass that way, but let him. How hard is that? But people, they lose marriages
Yes.
because of silly things like that,
Yes, yes.
right?
But it goes much deeper than that, right? The way we are brought up,
Yes.
the things we witness sometimes. You mentioned that your parents got divorced.
Yeah.
And when you saw you going through that, I believe their marriage was played back in your mind.
That's true.
And you said, no, it can't be me.
Yeah.
I can't be going through that.
Yeah, because I told myself never to go down that path, you know, because then you have children and you have different parents and, you know, but
When you thought that, that's when you decided to forgive and go for it.
Yes. So that was when I decided that let me forgive her, you know, because humanly as we are, if we trust in God, then the way to get to God is forgiveness.
And perhaps deep inside, when you thought the way she was, you didn't.
No.
No. when you started thinking, let me picture Joyce in my mind now, right now, telling me not to dress the way I was. You said, no, I don't want that woman back. However, using not your heart, but your intelligence, intelligent love, as we teach people.
Yes.
You decided to compromise and say, no, I have to forgive and do certain things I have to do in order to make this work.
I decided to be more open, communicate to her, tell her where I am at every time of my activity, what I was doing. If I'm not going to work, I let her know I'm off. But previously I didn't, you know. And sometimes to even cut down on some of my hours so I could be at home with her, you know, because I realized these were the issues that was raised. So if I'm to come home, then I need to make a lot of sacrifices.
Good.
You know, and I even had to cut down on some of the jobs that were on part-time and say, no, I need to be at home, you know. So that being at home helped me and her to get to grow and to know each other more.
And you, Joyce, you're mentioning giving him more space,
Yes.
letting him.
Yes, I mean, if his shoes were lying there, I wouldn't say anything. I'd leave him there. And I think one thing as well that I want to touch on, I used to spend a lot of time at home, going back to my mum and dad's, and that was one thing he was always saying, oh, you spend too much time with your mum and dad, you spend too much time, you need to spend time. And I'd be like, but you're never at home, so there's nobody for me to talk to.
So you see, compromise.
Yes.
Here we have compromise.
Yes.
You decide to cut
Yes.
on hours, working hours.
Yes.
You decided to no longer spend
Yes.
a lot of time with your parents,
Yes.
to be with each other.
Yes.
So you see, when a couple sees each other, right, husband, wife, making efforts, to make it work, you make the other happy.
Yes.
It's not only about you being happy or making yourself happy, but making the other person happy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then here you are.
Yeah.
So how things are now?
Oh, they're so much better. We're still working on it, and we're
course,
still improving.
Yeah. I mean, we pray together. We eat together, not like previously.
You didn't eat together before?
No.
Where would you eat?
I would just eat in the
Kitchen.
conservative
Conservative? And you?
or the kitchen.
I'd eat in the
Elsewhere,
lounge.
in the lounge.
Yes. And we never used to sit in the same
Do you
place.
have children?
No.
So just the two of you in the house,
Yeah.
and you weren't able
No, we
to
couldn't
spend
stand each
time
other's company.
in the same.
So if you ate together, what would happen? You would end up arguing?
I'd be sitting upstairs watching the television, and he'd be sitting downstairs watching the television.
Imagine
And
that.
The only time we would communicate is probably when we were going to bed. Probably have a prayer and go to bed.
So there were many things that we can learn with today's story, with Abraham's and Joyce's story. Communication, compromise, getting to know the person well before
Yes.
getting
that's
married,
important.
not over email, Facebook, WhatsApp, whatever, right? Getting to know the person properly, not allowing third parties to get involved, and fighting for it.
Yes.
Fighting. Two different sets of problems, background. Two different people coming together. So it's not going to match perfectly, but you need to adjust, sit down. So much so that when you decided to sit down, talk things over, use your head and let's make this work. I will do this, and the other said, and I will do that. Here you are today.
Yes.
Way better than
Yes.
before.
Yes.
So you've been married now for how long?
6 years.
6 years.
Yes.
Working good now.
Yes.
No
Yes.
looking back.
No.
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 Good.
This is 7th year.
No, 6.
6 years.
Yeah.
6 years.
That's good.
So now we do things together. Even when it comes to cutting the grass, we do it
We
together.
do it.
Wonderful. Because if you don't do it well, she comes after you and fixes it, right?
Yeah. So we do it together. I cut it and she empties the grasses. If it comes to painting the fence,
And
we do it together.
And isn't it nice?
Yes.
Isn't it nice?
yes,
Isn't it fulfilling?
yes, yes.
That's what marriage is all about.
Yes.
Eating together,
Eating
right?
together, yes. Because after all, who else do you have,
Yes, it's true.
right? Thank you very much for having us here.
Pleasure.
And I would like
Opening-
to say something that
Oh, yes, please.
with people that are having this challenge, they need to sit down and look at each other and not say that, oh, this is wrong, this is right, because there's nothing perfect. But when they work together, they would produce a good
Not
team.
pointing fingers.
No,
Yes.
It doesn't work.
just bringing it out on the table
Uh-huh.
and crossing it out, then they would see that, oh, this is wrong, this is right, and then they would work together and they would be much
Going
happier.
back to what we were saying before we conclude, that's what people do in business.
Yeah.
If the business is not going well, they call a meeting,
That's true.
everybody goes to the boardroom, they talk, they go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
How can we make things change?
Yes.
How can we change things and improve the business?
That's true.
Right? They talk. They have a meeting. Sometimes the meeting is an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Doesn't matter. They don't leave that room until they have an idea plan, a set plan on how to take that business to another level. Right? That's what you did. And that's what you're encouraging people to do, which is the way to go.
Yes.
Right?
And I think as well, don't try and change the other person.
Oh,
Change yourself first. Because I remember so many years ago, probably about 4 years ago, I think it was the second year of my marriage, I'd met somebody, an old friend, and she said she was with somebody, and she said, and he was always getting on her nerves, but she decided, she looked at all his good qualities, and she said, I changed for myself, and when I did, then, and I always remembered it, and if I had put that into practice, maybe years previously, I
Yeah,
probably
that's a good
would have spared myself all this trouble.
That's right. That's
So,
correct. Not change
yes,
wanting to change the other
yes,
person, because
yes.
we have things to change ourselves.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
So once
yes.
again, thank you very much. Thank you for opening your house for
Thank
us,
you.
for our crew who are right now
you.
behind the cameras watching us, enjoying the weather. And it was lovely being here with you. And I believe your story will really encourage couples not to go down that path
Yes.
now.
Yes.
But we're not going to go yet, because we're going to hear from Abraham and Joyce their 3 most annoying things.
I really want to see that one.
Now, don't go back to the past, because I believe in the past you had a long list.
Oh, yes.
Right? But you have hopefully a short list today. So thank you once again. And we're going to see now the 3 most annoying things from Abraham and Joyce.
The 3 most annoying things about Joyce is 1, eating without a tray, because she believes if you eat on a plate, you must have a tray. So in case the plate falls, it goes on the tray and not on the floor.
The 3 most annoying things about Abraham is, 1, when he comes home and he takes his jacket off, he just leaves it lying on the settee, and then I leave it there for a bit, and then suddenly, after a couple of hours, I'll say, is that jacket going to move? Because I'm not moving it.
Secondly, drinking tea, coffee, or a juice without a placemat, because the table will have scratches and there must be a mat under.
The second thing is, sometimes when you ask his opinion, he doesn't say anything, and you have to keep asking him, well, are you going to answer, or are you going to say yes or no, or tell me what you think? Sometimes he doesn't, so I have to make the decision for myself.
And then the third one is waking out of bed, not relaying the bedspread, the pillow, and just leaving it in a very messy way. And sometimes it's really annoying, you know. You've got out of bed, you need to go, but she said, you know, you need to dress the bed, and sometimes it's really, really annoying, you know. So those are the 3 most annoying things about her, yeah. And
the third thing, actually, I can't think of a third thing for Abraham. Is there a third thing? I can't. I think it's just only 2. There's only 2 things.
Hi YouTube, hope you're enjoying watching our show right now.
And just so you know, you also can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter on the details below on your screen.
Make sure you follow us on there too to stay up to date.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you for coming.
Bye.
See you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So, We just finished with Abraham Joyce, which was a well-spent time, getting to know one more couple who was able to kind of, you know, in a way, salvage the marriage. Because one of the things we advocate against is divorce. That we know there are cases and cases, but we should make things work. And we could see that they did just that. They learned the power of communication, to communicate. They realized that they needed to make some adjustments themselves, come to a compromise. It's all about that. And I believe that one of the key points for their relationship to change, to turn around, was when they realized they need to sit down and talk. Let's talk. When you talk, I listen. When I talk, you listen. And once both listen, they start applying those changes to themselves.
One thing that they said that happens a lot, and one of the reasons for divorce is that the mistake Joyce was making, where a person wants to be happy in their love life, they want to be happy in love, they want to get married, but they want to remain the same. They don't want anything to change, anything about their lives to change. I am like this, I live like this, I like things done this way, I'm going to marry this person here. You're just gonna, you know, you have to adjust yourself to my life.
Yeah.
When you think like that, there is no way that marriage is going to work.
And besides that, she wanted to change him. So, which made matters worse, right? You don't want to make adjustments yourself, and yet you demand the other person change. So somehow that's hypocrisy, right? Because you want that person to be who you want that person to be, but you are unable to change in order to help that person, or to be someone to your spouse who your spouse will enjoy throughout marriage. So it's demanding change from the other person, and yet not wanting to change yourself.
It's like saying, I am the important one here. My interests, my life is the important one. You adjust yourself to whatever is important to me. That's why marriages don't work, because it's a person over here who has interests, who has his own mindset. So it must be a compromise between the two of them. And that's what Joyce wasn't willing to do.
And once she realized that she had to change, once she went to the seminar and understood that, okay, I need to improve myself. It's not only about demanding from him, but I myself need to change. And she came face to face with reality. It was like looking into a mirror, and she saw, from a very close range, and she saw how much she had to change, how much she had to improve, which eventually helped her relationship. Another thing also is, just before the relationship, just before they got married, in the time when they were still dating, they were dating from long distance. And if it's not enough to make, a relationship difficult to develop, they were communicating over the phone and via email. That's pretty hard. So we always teach people to really get to know the other person, physically meet that person, get to know that person. Her mother did well when she wanted to investigate his life. That's it. But it wasn't her mother's job. It was her job to do that, to get to know him well, spend time together, see if that person is the real person. And not only that, not only to see if that person is the right person, but also to learn about that person and understand that I'm about to get married to this person here, which is different from me. So therefore, I will then be ready for that, because we are different. So once you get to know the other person, then you are ready for the relationship.
You can make the right decision.
You can make the right decisions. There will be differences there, there will be obstacles there. However, because you've learned about that person before the marriage, while you're dating that person, it makes it easier for things to work.
One thing that I want to emphasize, because we talk to a lot of people who are in long distance relationships. You see, when a person writes, you're communicating. They have time to think about what they're gonna write. So they
They write
write
whatever they
nice
want.
stuff. Now, when you're dating and you see the person, you need to see that person, see the person's reaction in different situations. That's when you get to know the person, which is impossible when you have a long distance relationship. But people tend to think, love conquers all.
Exactly.
We are distant, but we're gonna get married.
Like this program is pre-recorded. So if you are live, we'd be making a lot of mistakes. So just like that,
You need to-
a long distance relationship is like a pre-recorded relationship. You can say whatever you want. You can post the picture, the best. You select the best picture, the one
You
that you
edit.
looked. You edit, maybe Photoshop it. I don't know, and you just post it there. So these are the lessons, and many people think that maybe I married the wrong person, which is the title of today's program, right? The topic of today's program. So, but really, I may say I married the wrong person, but what if that person also married the wrong person? What if I am wrong the way I am and I need to improve? So it's very easy to point fingers, it's very easy to demand from the other, rather than just see your own mistakes and come to the conclusion that perhaps you are wrong, you are the wrong one that needs to change. So I believe that these are important lessons we learned today. We'd like to thank Abraham and Joyce for having us in their lovely home here in West Birmingham. Who knows, we may come to your home to record your testimony. Maybe you have a story, to share with us. Just let us know. You can send your information to us. You can just visit our website, lovetalkshow.tv. You find all the details in there, how to get in touch with us. Okay? So this is it, guys. Until next time, see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that's all for today's Love Talk Show. Be sure to tune in next week to learn more on how to love intelligently.